minutes after 9 o'clock. It is time for In the Garden with Carol Ann, but Carol Ann is not here, and she has asked David Goodman to sit in on her behalf. David has been here before. He's an author, and he is an expert gardener and a master composter. I just read that off of the back of his book. I'm not so sure if I was supposed to say master gardener. I know that's a specific title.
Yeah,
that's like a doctor.
Master gardener.
So you don't have that. You don't have that.
I went through the master gardener program, volunteered for a year or two.
Oh, so but you're retired from it.
I retired.
I didn't know you could do that.
No, you usually die in the saddle. But,
well, good to see you again. And the phone lines are open if you want to call David during the course of this show. David has a couple of books out there that he's got a new one. Is this a new one?
This is the new one.
Compost
yes.
Everything. The Good Guide to Extreme Composting. Your name is David the Good.
David the Good. If you look up David the Good on Amazon.
Did I say your name before? David Goodman, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you call yourself David the Good in your as the author name.
Right.
Your pseudonym or whatever they call it. Right. So good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I have to know, is that you singing?
No.
The theme music?
No.
No, that's not you?
No, that's one of Carol Ann's other friends. Spencer Steve. Oh, I can tell you his name. Hold on.
I'm jealous. I didn't know she had other friends.
Hold on here. Stanley Spencer.
All right.
So,
all right.
Do you know him?
Good job, Stanley.
Do you know Stanley?
No,
okay.
I haven't met him.
Well, you do music too.
I do, yeah.
See, I was going to bring in the guitar. I thought we could maybe harmonize on something.
That's not a bad idea.
I think we would harmonize well.
I think we do a gardening song.
Do you think? Robin does a gardening song. There's a gardening song Robin does. It's not one she wrote, but there's a garden. Gosh, I can't remember. Robin, what's the name of that song you do? It's been 100 years ago. So how are you doing?
I've been doing well. Been having a lot of fun. Been trying to breed a better pumpkin for Florida. That's been my big project lately. Trying to get a.
We need a pumpkin, don't we?
We need a pumpkin
because all of our pumpkins don't come from around here.
Yeah, right.
So how do you do that? I mean, how do you breed a better pumpkin?
Well, most of the pumpkins that you get, that are the nice, the rich orange pumpkins.
Yeah.
They are Cucurbita Peppo or Cucurbita Maxima. So they're varieties that aren't really all that well suited to Florida. So, I mean, the problem with Florida is you get a lot of rain and you get mold on the vines. And, one day your little pumpkin patch looks great, and then it rains for a couple of days and everything turns all white and just kind of mushes, they fall apart into the ground.
Oh, really?
Plus you get these squash vine borers, which get in there and they drill little holes into all the vines. And then, so you may have a really beautiful looking zucchini plant, and then the next day it's all starting to look like it's drought stressed and it's wilting, and you go and you look along the stem and there's teeny little pinholes all over the stem, and there's eggs have been laid in there and there's little worms eating their way through the stem.
Oh, really?
So the problem is you have to have a pumpkin that can go through both the heat and the humidity and not get killed by squash vine borers. So there's an old variety called Seminole pumpkin that the natives bred hundreds of years ago.
Really?
Before the Spanish were here, the original inhabitants of the Everglades were growing these Seminole pumpkins, and they were named after the Seminoles later on because they didn't come down until after. But Seminole pumpkin's usually about that big. And it's a little.
So for the listener's sake, it's about the size of a softball?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it ranges from a softball. The biggest one I've seen is about 12 pounds. There's a lot of genetic variation.
Like a basketball.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm doing that for the listener's sake.
And they're not. That's right. Yeah, for the listeners, right? We go from softball to basketball. Yeah. So we're talking like a half a pound up to about 12 pounds, but usually they run in the 1 to 2 pound range, and they're not orange. They're tan.
Oh, really?
So, we're never going to get a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin here that looks orange because this is a different species. It's Cucurbita machata, which is the same species as your butternut squash. And it's got the same color as a butternut, but it looks like a little pumpkin.
So, have you ever heard the song, Heloise, O Lantern?
I don't think so.
No? Well, it's a song Robin and I do.
Then I have to hear it.
Heloise O'Lantern is Jack O'Lantern's younger sister, and she's small. She's the size of a softball.
Okay.
And she's the pumpkin that follows Halloween because she comes during the Thanksgiving feast.
Right.
She's the little one in the cornucopia.
That's right.
So that's Heloise. You never knew that, huh?
Oh, that's great.
So that would be perfect if we could get a Florida pumpkin to play the role of Heloise.
I should have brought you some. I've gotten 150 pounds of pumpkins so far this year. A bunch of them. I've got ones with.
So you're growing them for food?
Growing them for food, yeah. They taste much better than a Halloween pumpkin. I mean, they've got a real
I
good
never
flavor.
could understand why pumpkin even tastes good in the first place. Because when you get it in a pie,
yeah.
You don't like it?
I mean, it needs to be in a pie.
It doesn't seem like it tastes good straight out of the pumpkin. Like you can't eat that like you can eat a watermelon.
No. Pumpkin's not impressive.
Can you?
There are squashes that taste good. I mean, a butternut squash is a good, sweet, nutty
without
squash,
adding sugar and anything else to it?
Yeah, that's very good. But the pumpkins have been bred for their looks. A lot of for a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin, we want the perfect orange pumpkin. So I don't care. We're going to scrape the guts out and leave it to rot on the front porch for a few weeks. So
although the seeds are still good.
Seeds are good.
When they put them in the oven and put some salt on them?
Roast them.
They're really good.
Salt. Yeah. The trick is, getting one for Florida, and I want one that tastes really good.
But it sounds like you have one for Florida. You're just not happy with it?
It's good. It's just small. So what I've been doing is crossing it with larger varieties of pumpkins until I can have a very vigorous, strong vine growing. The thing about the reason they live through the squash vine borers is that they root at every node along the vine. So every place there's a leaf coming out, there's also roots that'll go into the ground. And so if they get drilled in one area, they're compartmentalized the way the Titanic was supposed to be. You drill one part of the vine, it's got roots on either side of it. It can keep limping along.
So let me ask you something. Does this mean that if you're successful, you will have a patent on the pumpkin?
No, I'll probably just give it away.
But could you? I mean, don't some people have...
I could probably patent the seeds.
Like, for example, why is it such a big crime, punishable by in such a severe way, to have an orchid? I don't understand the whole orchid crime thing. What is that?
Yeah,
is it because there's a patent on it?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, when somebody brings an orchid in from like Europe or whatever, they can get arrested and serve jail time for this. I mean, it's huge.
Oh yes.
What is the reason for that?
There's a lot of import problems with plants. Part of it is diseases. I don't know why it would be on orchids. It just seems to be there's kind of a blanket prohibition on bringing in live plant material.
But so severe a punishment.
Yeah, and actually, if you sell some orchids in violation of certain laws that you may not even know about, you can end up in jail and having all your stuff confiscated. You wouldn't even know the law. There's so many of them. I was reading about a guy with a plant nursery. He got raided. He got called a couple times. Do you sell such and such? He said, oh yes, I sell such and such. And then the guy said, well, I'll come and get it. And the guy doesn't come. And the guy calls again. Do you sell such and such? Some months later, somebody else dials in. So yeah, I have them. Now he thought he had met the state laws and he thought he'd met the national laws. But when it came right down to it, he ended up getting raided and they confiscated his computers, shut his business down and all that stuff. Turns out there was some international law that he didn't know about such and such a species that he wasn't supposed to be carrying without such and such a license.
Wow.
He didn't know about it, but it ended his business. There's so many laws you can't even know.
And it's so crazy because if you're doing it, you're not really trying to hurt somebody. All right.
No.
All right, we'll take a little break and we'll be right back. It's always fun having you here. All right, David Goodman. Am I saying your name right? David Goodman.
That's me.
David the Good. We'll be right back with David.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Sunshine mixing with clouds today with a thunderstorm around this afternoon and early tonight. Today's high 88 to 92. Partly to mostly cloudy later tonight, though 74 to 78. Tomorrow, clouds and some sun with a thunderstorm or two around in the afternoon and evening, the high 90 to 94. And Thursday, times of sun and clouds with a couple of afternoon thunderstorms, high 88 to 92. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Nestled in the heart of horse country, just off I-75 exit 354, the award-winning and newly refreshed Howard Johnson Inn of Ocala invites you to pamper yourself in one of our comfy guest rooms. Enjoy our free and fast Wi-Fi, heated outdoor swimming pool, 24-hour fitness center, and our deluxe continental breakfast. Other on-site amenities include a restaurant, putt-putt golf, and a car wash. Go happy, go Hojo at the Howard Johnson Inn of Ocala, proud sponsor of Friday Night High School football on WOCA, The Source.
Are you looking for a durable farm fence to keep your horses enclosed or a beautiful vinyl fence to give that finishing touch to your home? Seminole Fence has over 20 years of experience in providing quality fence products and services for farm and residential properties. Let them surround your property with a fence that provides privacy, security, and stunning appeal. Don't wait. Contact them today at 352-208-0959 for a free estimate. Seminole Fence, working hard to build fences and harder to build relationships.
We're saving thousands with Robert Palmer.
So rule number one is always shop around. Always shop around. If you're trying to get a mortgage, if you're trying to get the best credit card, if you're looking at student loans, cell phone bills, you name it, rule number one is always shop around. Always shop around.
That's rule number one, just one more vital part of fighting back to stop being a financial zombie. Yes, you can take the mystery out of the complicated world of finances. Take charge when it comes to your money. Listen in on The Source in 96.3 FM and 1370 AM, Saturdays at 12:05.
Prestige Food Trucks, the world's leading food truck manufacturer, specializing for the startup vendor all the way up to restaurant chains, is a proud sponsor of Food Truck Talks, the weekly show heard every Wednesday at 9 a.m. on The Source, WOCA News Talk, that brings you the inside scoop, ladle, spatula, spoon, fork, and plate from inside of the custom food trucks you see in and around town. Find what makes each food truck unique in its own way, from the food they serve to how it's prepared in their custom manufactured truck. Food Truck Talks, Wednesdays at 9 a.m., sponsored by Prestige Food Trucks.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean, I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line and a new spoiler and a new trunk.
We can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too, huh?
Well, as a matter of fact, join me every Monday at 10 for auto repair with personal care here on The Source.
Of course you do.
18 minutes after 9 o'clock, let's return to In the Garden with Carol Ann. Carol Ann Baldwin not here today. I don't think I even asked David where Carol Ann is. She might have told me and I forgot. David Goodman is sitting in for Carol Ann. The phone line is open, by the way, if you want to ask David some questions. And we'll focus on the book a little bit too, because you talk about composting in the book. So.
Yeah, here's the book. This is actually Larry's copy, which he lent back to me.
Well, thank you for the copy. Yes.
I need to sign it before I go, and make it really
Hold it up
expensive.
longer. Hold it up longer. Push it closer to the camera.
There we go. Can we? How's that?
Nice. That's a very good shot.
Compost Everything: The Good Guide to Extreme Composting. This is the terrifying composting book, which would not be approved by the University of Florida. So
why?
We compost everything from meat to logs to human waste. I mean, this book is this is your grid down survival composting. If you
really? So why doesn't
society
the university
collapses, you would want to use every bit that comes through. Well, universities are generally conservative because you don't know who is going to be applying.
That's how you talk to.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say conservative politically, but conservative in recommendations, where they would say, don't throw bread in the compost, don't throw meat in the compost, don't throw your wife's horrible beef stew in the compost, at least don't let her catch you.
She's not listening.
Don't compost your cat, that kind of thing, because that's. That it can lead to problems. There can be vermin and all that sort of stuff. But the fact is, for thousands of years, you wouldn't have thrown away the bones of the fish, and had the trash man come take it away. You would have found a way to use that in your garden, because there's a lot of fertility tied up in a fish.
Isn't that what we learned in elementary school, that the Indians used to put a fish in with the corn?
Right, and then you're told, don't do that. When it gets to actual gardening and it gets to history, it's like, hey, they got all their corn to live by burying fish underneath it. Right. And then you get to the gardening class and they're like, don't compost meat. That's bad because rats or something. It's there's a lot of fertility in it. I mean, you think of all the minerals that the fish.
Let me ask you this: are there municipal ordinances, like a city rule or a law that says you can't compost your dead pet?
I mean, not that I know of. I don't know that it was ever a big enough an issue where it's like, golly, we've had issues. I mean, everybody's composting dogs around here. I mean, they're like, we need to make a law. I don't think they ever got to that point. But I sold a tree to a lady once who was going to plant it over her dead horse. She had it was a memorial to her horse. She buried her, this beautiful horse, and it died, and she buried it, and she planted a tree on top.
Right.
The tree's not going to die. The tree's going to love being on top of that horse.
Yeah.
And so the point is if
don't trees that are planted over dogs have better bark?
I'm sure they do. That's nice. That's nice.
Joke.
Now I can see that.
Just a joke.
I can see that. Okay, now you beat me. That's. I can't. I just go home now. I mean, that's. No, the point is if things ever got bad, or if you were a cheapskate, you would want to use everything to feed your garden possible. You're not going to be able to go down to Lowe's and go buy bags of compost and bags of dirt and go throw it on your garden every spring. If you were gardening like the natives gardened a few hundred years ago, what they would do is they would take the refuse from the camp, the ashes, the whatever guts are left, after a kill or bones or anything else, and even the waste of the camp, and they would bury it, and then they would plant on top of it. And so I got fascinated with what could you use and what could you compost. I mean, if you don't want to throw away a lot of stuff, I mean, what you can reduce the amount of waste going out of your house and grow food on top of it.
Do you have very little garbage like that you put out of the curb for the garbage man? Do you have very little?
I would like to say I had very little. I have less probably than I would otherwise, but I've got a lot of children, so there's 2 kids that are still in diapers, and we tried the cloth diaper thing, and it so you end up with that, and then it's not like you can go and. I suppose I could, go get the beer bottles refilled, and bring them home. There's always bottles, there's cans.
Oh yeah, right.
There's a lot of debris of society. It's not like if I was walking, a couple of blocks to the farmer's market and bringing stuff home in sacks.
Right.
It's the whole society is, there's like 3 layers of wrapping to everything.
Right.
So. No, I mean, we don't throw away any food scraps, and the food always goes, and everything goes back into the ground. All the meat goes back into the ground, and the trick is just bury it and plant on top of it.
Can you tell in the flavor of the food that like if you've got bacon under your corn, can you taste it in your corn?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure you can.
Can you, or you just?
No, you can't tell necessarily what. I mean, fortunately, you can't tell.
Well,
one of our sponsors is Black Cow, right? So,
right.
When you use Black Cow on your cabbages, they don't taste like cow manure. I mean, we're glad about this.
Okay, well, let me tell you a little story. I'm not a gardener by any means. Okay, but one year, I had these tomato plants growing over the septic tank, and I thought, wow, these are really good looking tomatoes. And somebody said, "Don't eat them. They're being fed by your own waste, so they're going to be bad for you." So I didn't. Did I make a mistake? They would have been okay?
They would have been fine. Yeah. Actually, they found E. coli and the different bacteria that we worry about.
Yeah.
They don't get transferred into the fruit of a plant.
They were nice looking.
Yeah. The danger arises, because you hear these horrible stories about, spinach. People are dying from listeria or E. coli in spinach because somebody, they got some septic, there was some contact somewhere along the line that's dangerous. That's the danger. In China, where they're spraying raw waste right out of the fields to do it, they cook all their food. I was reading, in China they cook the food because you can't trust any raw vegetables to not have bacteria on them. But if the bacteria is beneath the ground, say if you had a septic tank and you grew a banana tree and it grew over the top of the septic tank and you had the most beautiful banana tree, you could eat those bananas and there wouldn't be any trouble because they're not pulling up. It's the splash up.
Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?
The plant uses what it wants to, and everything's fine. I mean, in Africa, one of the septic things they did when they designed was they would set up an outhouse, and then the channels of whatever was coming out of the outhouse, they had it going into a little swamp bed covered with mulch, and they plant bananas in there, and then you could eat the bananas, and it was perfectly safe. It's when you had a flood and the outhouse flooded and your lettuces got washed with
that makes
raw
sense.
waste. That's dangerous.
That makes a lot of sense.
That's absolutely terrifying. You don't want to touch that stuff.
All right, here.
But no, nature has been returning things to the ground all through history, and.
So did this new book, did it just come out?
Yeah, it came out a couple months ago. It actually was a bestseller on Yeah, it was a bestseller on Amazon's gardening section for a couple of weeks. We were actually in the number one spot for a week.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Very fun.
And any marketing to help that, or did it just happen by itself? Is it very organic?
A little bit of marketing. I mean, not much. The publisher announced it on their website, and it sold a couple hundred copies the first day, which put us right up into the top slot. And then after that, I wrote a couple gardening articles. I mentioned it. I got picked up by a couple of sites. Instapundit picked it up for a day, and said, "I just bought this book." I was like, "Well, that was very nice." It's just getting a few mentions will put it, put it up there. And it's, composting and gardening are usually sort of boring.
So how much is it selling for?
It's $9.99.
Let's sell it right now. $9.99.
$9.99 for the paperback, or it's only $2
as a Kindle or something?
Yeah, or $3 as a Kindle version, yeah.
And it's, what's it called again?
It's Compost Everything, The Good Guide to Extreme Composting.
And it's written by David
the Good. I teach you how to make fish emulsion, how to deal with waste in an emergency situation, how to compost how to use a fallen tree.
How do you make fish emulsion? Is it with a blender?
Yeah, you could use a blender if you want to, but what I do is I just get a bunch of fish guts from the Caribbean market, put it in the bottom of a big barrel, and I add in a little bit of Epsom salts for the magnesium and the sulfur.
Right.
I add in some molasses to feed the bacteria at the beginning and get them cooking.
Does it smell really bad?
Oh, it smells terrible. Yeah. You want a barrel with a top. Because the first time I made it, within an hour, there were vultures.
What is the hole in the barrel
going,
called? What do you call the hole in the top of a barrel?
The bung?
The bung hole.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
It was a Beavis and Butthead thing, but
yeah, go figure. Well, the vultures knew it was there. That's I write about it in a very ridiculous manner.
Go back to where you get the fish guts from. Where do you get them from?
I went to the Caribbean market.
Where is that?
Fish market. It was down in Summerfield. A friend of mine brought me a few buckets of fish guts one day, and he goes, "Hey, I brought you a gift." I was like, "Thank you, man. I can't. I have really good friends. And it smells terrible, but all of the minerals from the sea are in those fish. And any gardener will tell you fish emulsion's a fantastic fertilizer, but it's an expensive fertilizer. I don't know why it's so expensive.
So you don't use a blender; you put it in a barrel.
I just put it in a barrel and let it rot for about a year. Stir it up a couple of times. Yeah, just set it aside and forget about it. And if you wanted to use it right away, you could dig a trench in your garden and plant on top of it. But you got to be careful because the cats can dig, and the raccoons can dig. So.
Wow. I'm looking at the clock because I know we're almost up at the halfway point. The phone lines are open if you want to call David. The number is 622-9622. David has referred to himself as an expert gardener, not a master gardener.
Yeah, I have to say expert. Can't say master.
But you are a master composter.
Right, I can say that.
So real quickly, can I read you something that I found? George Norris, an elderly retiree, had turned his orchid hobby into a part-time business run from the greenhouse in back of his home. He would import orchids from abroad, South Africa, Brazil, Peru, and resell them at plant shows to local enthusiasts. He never made more than a few $1,000s a year from his orchid business, but it kept him engaged and provided a little extra money for him and his wife. Their life would take a turn for the worse on the bright fall morning of October 2003 when federal agents clad in protective Kevlar and bearing guns raided his home, seized his belongings, and long story short, he served, I don't know if he served any time because I don't want to read that far, but anyway, he was facing the possibility of federal prosecution and jail time for that.
For orchids, he didn't even know. There's a law that didn't
even know.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? All right, we'll take a little break and be right back. David the Good is in the studio, David Goodman. And we'll be back. We've got a half hour to go. 622-9622 if you want to speak to David.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. Presidential hopeful Donald Trump surging in the polls, which were taken before his controversial comment about Senator John McCain's war record. Telling Fox's Bill O'Reilly last night he has respect for the senator, and if there was a misunderstanding, he would take that back. But
I see how badly our veterans are being treated, and he's the guy. I mean, he's supposed to be doing it, and I see him on television all the time, and he's always talking, but nothing gets done. These veterans are living in hell.
Meanwhile, the GOP field gets more crowded.
Ohio Governor John Kasich will become the 16th Republican to form formally announce he's running for president, but ads are already running online. In them, he touts his work in Ohio balancing budgets.
We don't have a right to live beyond our means.
The announcement comes just 2 weeks before the first GOP debate in Cleveland.
Fox Radio's Rachel Sutherland, the Pope addressing mayors from around the world in Vatican City today. Fox News, we report, you decide.
When you're running your own business, you're bound to be busy. Too busy. Too busy worrying about your budget. Too busy scheduling appointments. Too busy to build a website for your business. And because you're too busy, it has to be easy. And that's where Wix.com comes in. With Wix.com, it's easy for you to create your stunning website. Go to Wix.com and create your website today. It's easy and free. That's Wix.com.
Geico applauds your inner happy camper.
A merit badge of awesomeness goes out to the part of you that wants to put the recreation in recreational vehicle. The part of you that packs up everything and everybody in the RV and says, let's get this show on the road. Because Geico has specialized agents who help save money on more than just car insurance. Geico will insure that entire RV, so you can get the s'more making, poison ivy dodging, same song singing, ghost storytelling, campfire building, best time you ever had with your family show on the road.
Geico for your RV. See how much you could save.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Do you have areas that have started sagging or drooping? Is what you're looking at not quite the same as it was years ago? Are there enhancements you've been putting off? Is there serious damage you need fixed? Then call on us, Damage Control Services, when your roof is sagging and the drywall is drooping after a storm, or your home just needs some enhancements. From damage repairs to new construction, Damage Control Services is here to help.
Hi, I'm Leah Caruso with Strive Rehabilitation, inviting you to join me Thursday at 11 a.m. for Health Matters. Ocala Health and Strive have teamed up to bring you the latest information on good health services available to you right here at home. This vital information will help you make informed decisions about your health. So don't forget to join me here at 11 a.m. Thursday. It's news you can use from Ocala Health, Strive, and your friends here at WOCA.
Hi, I'm Seth with AA Lock, Dock, and Security. Have you ever thought about the locks or security on your house or business? Have you ever wondered why the keys to your new car cost so much? Well, at AA Lock, Dock, and Security, we can help with securing your valuables. We can even replace those expensive transponder keys. We can give you the knowledge that no one else will. Call AA Lock, Dock, and Security at 867-1965. That's 867-1965.
Your weekends are getting a little retool.
Swear to God, not making a joke.
Check this out.
New shows?
Check.
Some new talent?
Check.
Let's welcome the guys.
Let's get it going.
Arnie Spanier.
Unbelievable.
TJ Reeves.
This is what you get.
Your weekends are on fire because that's how exotic it is.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking, will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
All right, 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. We are back with In the Garden with Carol Ann, but Carol Ann is not here. Carol Ann Baldwin is out. And I still haven't asked David where Carol Ann is today. David Goodman is here, sitting in for Carol Ann and entertaining us with his knowledge and his wit.
I think Carol Ann is meeting the ambassadors from Venus that she's been in conversation with.
During the break,
some years.
Joe Martone brought you a jar with bugs in it.
Bugs and said, can you tell me what these things are?
Can you hand it to me and I'll hold it up to the camera?
I can't tell you what they are. I'm going to have to look it up.
Let me see if I can get him on the camera here. So he's trying to grow. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's a good shot of it almost. We can't see you very well, but we can see. Hold on.
It's all right. I mean,
see if the automatic focus.
I think the bugs have more symmetrical faces than I do.
Well, I'm getting the underside of it, so it's a little bit erotic for other bugs watching. But are you a great photographer?
I'm an all right photographer.
See, I would think that if you were a gardener, photography's got to be an important part of what you do.
Yeah, on the website, I post photos pretty much every day, and I've had to get better at it.
So Joe brought this in. That leaf on the bottom is from his grapevine, he said, right?
Yep. And he said there's just a big ton of these bugs all over it. And I told him I didn't think the bugs were edible. So
anybody know what these are? If you're watching online,
call in.
I'm not going to hold this jar much longer, so you have to watch the replay on the video. There you go. Wow.
Yeah.
I've never seen those bugs either.
I wanted to be an entomologist when I was a kid, and never did it. I ended up studying art instead, and then ended up writing, and ended up being a garden writer. Just I see a lot of bugs, but a lot of entomology is about how do you kill the bugs. It seems like
it's
how
true.
do you deal with this bug?
Yeah,
how do you deal? And most every bug or snake or anything comes through my yard, I just leave it alone. Even the toxic stuff, it's like just let it go.
So now, does it look like it's eating his leaf right there? It doesn't look like
it doesn't look like they're eating the leaf, but that doesn't
It doesn't mean they're not a
maybe
problem.
Maybe they're nervous. I mean, maybe they're like the. Maybe they're like the person who claims that they eat like a bird, but then when nobody's around late at night, they watch Star Trek and they stuff themselves.
That's right. Of course, Star Trek does that to you.
It does. It makes you want to snack. You're like, there's so much abundance in Star Trek. Tea, Earl Grey, hot.
So Joe is
cheese dip.
So Joe is doing a grapevine. And I went to. Did I tell you this once before? I went to the Lake Ridge Winery, and they kind of give you this mini lesson on grapes in Florida.
Yeah.
It sounded. I mean, what I took away from that experience was that this is a great place for grapes, and yet you don't really hear about a lot of grapes being grown here.
It's a great place for grapes, but it's only a great place for muscadine grapes.
And is that good or bad?
Well, your northern grapes, the grapes that we get from Chile. Like the little green grapes and,
right.
Your red seedless grapes. All the seedless grapes, they're not muscadine grapes, Concord grapes. Those grapes are subject to a disease called Pierce's disease. When they get down into the south where it gets hot and humid, they succumb to it after a couple of years. And so all your champagne grapes and all your northern dessert grapes don't grow here. So you can grow muscadines, which are the native southern grape, which grows wild here and there. The little fox grapes that you see, those are the wild versions of the muscadines.
Okay.
But there have been muscadines that are bred, to be at the size of a big shooter marble or larger, really? Ping pong ball. Some of those grapes are awesome size, and they've got a great spicy flavor to them, but they have seeds in the middle. They're like the big expensive grapes that you would see in a wedding assortment, Those grow great here because they don't get Pierce's disease. But I have gone to, Home Depot or Lowe's or other places where they've got distribution points all over the United States, and I've seen them selling Concord grapes and champagne grapes and stuff. And almost invariably when somebody says, man, my grapes aren't doing so well, they just don't look hot. I planted them 2 years ago and this one died and that one.
Right.
I said, well, what did you get?
What kind of grapes?
They're like, oh, I got champagne grapes. I'm like, no, that's not going to work. They just don't grow here.
So I guess
they're going to die eventually. The zone is right. The warmth is right. The winter is even okay for them. It's just that hot, the humidity and the disease being present.
So I guess there's two reasons to grow grapes. One, because you like the way they look, and one, because you like the way they taste. Right? That's got to be the two reasons. So does the muscadine, obviously they make it into wine, so I'm guessing it serves that purpose, but is it a good grape just to eat like a grape?
I think so.
Oh, you do?
I like the flavor a lot. And if you're used to the super sweet grapes from the store, they don't have a lot of complexity to them. They're just sugar. They're like the white grapes from the store. You just...
Right.
It's kind of tart, sugar. You find yourself eating too many of them,
Right.
And you're like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. The muscadine grapes are spicy and aromatic, but they have seeds in the middle, so you gotta work around the seed, right? Or you bite the seed and the seed's bitter and it doesn't taste good.
Well, do the other ones? naturally have seeds, but they were bred out of them or something?
Right, they're bred or hybridized out. And they've worked on that with the muscadines, but the nature of the muscadine genetics is such that it's hard to get a seedless muscadine. You have to have two to cross.
So does that mean you could not have a muscadine raisin?
Yeah, you could have, a raisin with a seed in it.
Oh, okay.
You'd have to figure out how to pit the muscadines, I guess. Take a couple of
so
seeds
there'll be
in the center.
That's why we don't have muscadine
There's
raisins.
actually, if you want to try muscadine grapes, Taylor Gardens Nursery in Citra, right near Spar, just about 20 minutes north of town. If you look up taylorgardensnursery.com is their website. Taylor Gardens has 16 varieties of muscadine grapes. They've got a little grape you pick. And it's just a little like mom and pop operation. This older almost retired couple run this little nursery, and then they've got this beautiful little rows of grapes there, and they planted almost every type they could get their hands on. So you can go and have to try these big sweet golden grapes, and then they've got a hybrid variety that's a cross between a Concord and a muscadine, so it can live. And they have that little bit of Concord flavor, and then they've got these big black grapes, and people drive sometimes an hour or more to go to Taylor Gardens Nursery and pick grapes. This time of year, they're just starting the grape picking.
We had a chance to get to meet David and Gouda. Is it Gouda?
Dave and Gouda, yeah.
Gouda, yeah, we had a chance to meet them. They came in for a couple of shows, and I believe that they brought us, a plant that I left at the Cascades. It's still growing there.
All right.
I believe. A chameleon plant? I believe that's what they brought, and I think it was from them.
Yeah, Dave and Gouda Taylor.
And he was a wildlife guy down in South Africa.
Yeah, he's an African American.
Yeah, a white African American.
He's a white African American. He gets a kick out of it.
And he has this picture of an elephant. Did he ever show you this picture?
Yes. Yeah, it was a bull elephant that he put down.
A very bull elephant.
And he's got his foot on top of it. And he's got his gigantic elephant gun.
Yeah.
And one of his African friends afterwards to commiserate. No, the event of him killing this massive, dangerous elephant.
Right.
Asked him if he could have his gun for a couple of weeks. And the guy said, just trust him, give him your gun. So he gave him his gun, and he carved this like elephants in the savannah all down the stalk. It's an incredible wood carving. So this old African guy took the gun for a couple of weeks and gave it to him as a gift. He says you should commemorate this. I'll commemorate it for you. Give me your gun. And he's like, should I give him my gun? And they said, give him your gun.
That's a cool story.
Yeah, and so he's got this rifle. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, anybody have any questions for David about your gardens? Local. I always am fascinated listening to you.
It's garden writing is usually kind of boring. Gardeners.
Is it?
In general, if you read a gardening book, it's like every 6 inches you do this, and you do this, and you plant this, and don't do this, and don't do this, and don't do this.
Do you know what's amazing to me? When I look at a gardening book that has illustrations as opposed to photographs, the illustrations are, in a way, more informative, but the artist must have, you're an artist, so to draw like a technical drawing, I guess you would say, of a plant.
Yeah.
That looks like it really takes some knowledge of the plant. It's almost like Audubon with the birds. You'd have to be...
You don't mess it up. If you were doing, if in Grey's Anatomy, they didn't bother counting all of the spinal joints. They're like, well, I think he's got probably 20 in there. Right. If you do that, any surgeon's going to know you screwed that up.
Yeah.
If you got your hibiscus got too many petals, you get a problem.
All right, you have a call coming in. So if you're listening on the call, you're on hold right now, but you are next. So we need to take a break, and we'll be right back with David Goodman and continue with this program, which is called In the Garden with Carol Ann. Carol Ann's not here today. David Goodman sitting in for Carol Ann. If you're looking for David's books, he goes by the name David the Good on the web, on the internet, etc. Well, same thing, right? The web, the internet. All right, we'll be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Sunshine mixing with clouds today with a thunderstorm around this afternoon and early tonight. Today's high 88 to 92. Partly to mostly cloudy later tonight, though 74 to 78. Tomorrow, clouds and some sun with a thunderstorm or two around at the afternoon and evening, the high 90 to 94. And Thursday, times of sun and clouds with a couple of afternoon thunderstorms, high 88 to 92. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Hello, gorgeous. Hi, this is Becky at Hello Gorgeous Salon. We are located in the heart of downtown Ocala, right next to the historic Marion Theater. I'd like to invite you to stop by and see our new boutique area and meet our staff of professional stylists. Here at Hello Gorgeous, we are ready to update your look with the latest trends. It's the perfect time to brighten up your look. So make your appointment now for those highlights and Brazilian blowout. But don't stop there. We are a full-service salon offering manicures, pedicures, and facials also. So if you've been searching for a salon to call your own, come and see us at Hello Gorgeous Salon. We are located at 48 South Magnolia Avenue in downtown Ocala, right next to the Marion Theater. So call today and set up your appointment at Hello Gorgeous Salon at 351-5358. That's 351-5358. And don't forget, we also do men and children's cuts too. 351-5358.
Hello, gorgeous.
Keep up with what's going on in the downtown area with Ocala Downtown Newspaper. Delivering thousands of newspapers to businesses in the downtown area, Ocala Downtown is there to keep you informed. They even have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask in return is that you tell them where you heard about it. It's simple. For more info, just call Tom's Picks, 352-804-1223, and pick up your copy of the Downtown Ocala newspaper today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
12 minutes before 10 o'clock, let's return to David Goodman. In the Garden with Carol Ann is the name of the show. David's sitting in for Carol Ann Baldwin today. And David, you have somebody waiting patiently on the phone. Good morning. Thank you for calling. You're on the air now.
Hey, Larry. Hey, David. It's Ann. You've met me before. I've been up to the farmer's market up there, but I've also met you when you were over at a vegetable thing or something they had at the Master Gardener program.
Yes.
And I have two questions. One, the first one is, I know Carol Ann's been talking about the Master Gardeners having some kind of a vegetables show.
Yes.
And are you going to be one of the vendors? They're going to have vendors there as well as having different programs about a winter vegetable garden.
I've been considering it. I did it last year and I did it the year before, and I haven't decided if I'm going to jump in this year or not. It is a nice little show, though, and it's just in time for planting fall gardens. They do it at the agricultural extension.
Right, and what is it in September or August? I'm not sure.
I think it's in September.
Okay, yeah, that's what I
Yeah, I have to double check.
Other thing I wanted to ask you about, I purchased plants from you previous. Well, I don't know if you know.
Well, thank you.
I don't remember everybody, I'm sure. But if you saw me, you'd remember.
I know who you were.
Yeah, because my niece came up there. She bought it's going right out of my head, lemongrass from you.
Oh, yes.
And anyway, but one thing I bought several, but one thing I bought, and it's really growing like crazy, is that longevity plant, I think you call it.
Yeah, longevity spinach.
Okay, it's spinach. Do you cook that, or do you eat it raw? Or that's what I'm calling about, to find out how you eat that plant.
Longevity spinach, for anybody that's a nerd, the Latin name is Gynura procumbens, but it is a herb or a vegetable from Southeast Asia. And you can eat it raw, you can eat it cooked. I like to eat the leaves raw right off the plant, just snack on them in the garden.
Okay.
And so, yeah, you don't have to worry about cooking it, and it'll actually balance blood sugar. It's been shown to balance blood sugar in laboratory tests. 4 to 5 leaves a day are supposed to moderate your need for insulin somewhat. It's also supposed to increase concentration and memory, but I can't remember why. So that actually hasn't been proven, but it's a very good vegetable. And actually, if you want to start more of it, I mean, don't tell anybody that I told you this, but you can just break off pieces of that stem, take most of the leaves off, stick them in the ground in the garden, and usually they root within a couple of weeks.
Wow.
So, yeah, you can just go and cut 6-inch, 8-inch pieces of it off, leave a couple of leaves at the top, stick them someplace a little bit shady so they get established, and keep them watered, and usually could start a bunch more.
Do you eat those little tiny blooms it has?
You can eat the blooms. I don't usually bother. And they don't seem to make viable seeds for some reason. They don't seem to self-seed or anything.
Yeah, well, I haven't noticed any of that. I just noticed that it's really getting big, and I was just wondering if you probably told me at the time how to cook it and stuff, because you usually give a lot of information about your plants. When
I like to talk. Yeah.
I like to listen. I like to ask questions.
I'm glad you got that. There's like the regular spinach and lettuces are just not all that well suited to Florida. As soon as it gets hot, those things give up and die. So, a lot of the plants I sell in the nursery are from Asia or places where they can go right through the heat and right through the humidity. And longevity spinach, Okinawa spinach, Malabar spinach, they're not real spinaches. Suriname purslane, Mexican tree spinach, which is also known as chaya. It's a really good cooked green. A lot of those things, they sail right through the heat of summer. So when all your greens give up, you can still make a really good salad.
Yeah, because this thing is really getting big. I have it in a pot. I haven't put it in the ground because I like to move my things around. I don't know.
Yeah, and when it comes to the winter, it is a perennial plant, but it's very susceptible to frost. So when it comes to the winter, just make sure you either take cuttings and root them on the windowsill and keep them for next spring, or just drag that pot underneath the porch. I start a bunch of them, plant them out in the garden, and then expect to lose some. Sometimes they'll get through the freezes, and sometimes they don't. But as long as you have one piece of it you can root and keep inside, at least through the cold, you ought to be fine.
Okay, well, I hope you do come to that, because it's quite a drive for me. I'm near the mall. I'm about 5 miles south of the mall to drive up to the
the 326 market.
Yeah, but I like it. It's really a lot of fun. When my nieces were here, we went up there, and because they come from different places. But mostly here in Florida. Well, my one niece lives in Mount Dora now, but we all originally came from Miami and Hialeah area.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm at the 326 market every Thursday afternoon from 3 to 7, and if I do make it down to the vegetable expo, I'll make sure that I put it on the website. And if you don't have my website, it's floridasurvivalgardening.com. And I announce when I'm going to different places and try to put it on there ahead of time.
Okay, well, I hope you go. I would encourage you to go.
Well, thank you.
I don't know. I think everybody, you always have a big crowd around your exhibit there, or whatever you call it.
It's encouraging to see how many other nerdy gardeners there are in the Ocala area. People, it is really encouraging.
Told us the botanical names, but I can never spell them or pronounce them. But my mother always would go around and she would say, "This is called the daisy," and then she'd say, "But it is blah 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 blah."
Right, that's what it really is in Latin. Then it's serious. I think the master gardeners were about to kick me out for using the Latin name on everything. They were like, "Stop it, stop it! Oh, you know the Latin name." It's like, well, the Latin name keeps you from getting too confused.
That's right, because otherwise you use that common name and you go and ask for something by that, and then you get home and you've gotten something you didn't think you were getting.
Right. Somebody will say, "Oh, that's scrub grass." I'm like, "Scrub grass? Okay, is that? Well, tell me what that is. I don't know. I got to have the Latin name, because if it's Kogan grass, Cilindrata imperata or whatever it is, then you're in big trouble. But if it's one of our native grasses, you can probably wipe it out if it becomes a problem.
Well, let me ask you. You wanted to be a bug guy. How is this beetle that's for the what's the thing that's growing? Air potato beetle.
Yes.
Some of them this year, but not like last year. What do you know? Are they going to get more as we get further along? Or
they've been trying to naturalize them. I think they're still working on it. For anybody that doesn't know, there's this little red beetle that's been released by the University of Florida to control air potatoes. And air potatoes are Dioscorea bulbifera, which is unfortunately not a very edible plant, and it climbs all over the place and causes a lot of trouble. And so they released a beetle to try and control it. Of course, my fear is that it's going to attack the agricultural yams that I grow, because I grow true yams. And there's not a yam industry in Florida, but it's an excellent vegetable to grow. And so the fear is that's going to jump species to another Dioscorea that is edible. So we'll see, but I don't know. They may be susceptible to the cold this far north. I have seen some of them this year, but not a lot. And they may be coming in later in the year, too. It may just be the beetle's life cycle.
because that was the other thing. I wondered if their life cycle was that they came alive during the cold weather. They hatched out and came up at that time, and then those got killed. Then there was nothing for them to eat anyway because the air potato had
Right, the air
all died
potatoes are
back.
all gone half the year when it's cold. So no, I'm not sure.
I don't know if you'd heard anything about it. Because they're terrible, the air potato.
Oh yeah, and those the beetles will make Swiss cheese out of them for sure.
Yeah, but it's very slow. Everybody in this area that had the beetles last year thought, oh boy, we're getting rid of these air potatoes, but
Right.
it has.
Yeah, the air
turned
potatoes
out
look
to
pretty
be
healthy
that
this
way
year so
in
far.
this
So,
area.
well, thank
But
you.
anyway,
Yeah, I
good
appreciate you calling
to
in.
and I hope to see you at there.
All right.
Some Thursday I'll get. What time does that start again up there at the?
The 326 Market, which is just near the corner of Old Jacksonville Road and 326, a little north of town, is open on Thursdays from 3 to 7. Every Thursday from 3 to 7. And they've got new vendors out there. It's a very friendly little market. It's one of the nicest farmers. It is the nicest farmers market I've ever been to. They're a real cheerful little market.
They have chickens and everything there.
Oh, yes. All kinds of things.
My did do one really good thing for me. I used to have a lot of trouble with my amaryllis and rain lilies getting eaten up by those leopard grasshoppers. Well,
yes.
my chickens evidently have eradicated them because I haven't had them for 2 years now.
Oh, good. Maybe they stomped them out.
Checked them to death.
Yes.
Okay, well, it was good talking with you, David.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
About that.
Thank you. And you have another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with David.
Well, hello.
Hello.
My husband was a recipient of a bamboo plant, the Lucky Bamboo.
Yes.
And how do I treat this? It's not wilting. We've had it for several days now. I don't want to overwater it, but it's got all these rocks on top, that are stuck together. It's a mass. They're hard. Do you just water right through that, or what?
Yeah, that's the Lucky Bamboo that's just kind of, it's like braided, and I've seen them growing directly in water. Yeah, just make sure it gets enough water they're really not picky. As long as they have a little bit of filtered light and they get, the water is always there, there's at least a little bit in the bottom, they'll be fine. I had one and I decided to fertilize it, but I gave it too much fertilizer and killed it. So it'd be real light. If you do decide to give it, a little bit of Miracle Grow or something like that, I'd only put a pinch in.
Okay.
But no, you should be fine. They're pretty hard to kill.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
All right. Some good stuff today. We're just about out of time, David. It's good to have you in the studio again.
It's nice to be here. I appreciate it. It's always fun.
One day we'll get together with the guitars and do something.
I can bring the guitar next time.
Last time I played some of your music on the show.
Yes.
Wasn't it last time?
Yeah, that was last time.
By the way, when I looked up the what do you call it, the air potato beetle, just to see what it looked like?
Yes.
It sort of kind of looked like the beetle Joe had, but not quite.
Not quite. I mean, they're both definitely beetles.
Yeah. And I have no idea what I'm even looking at. But I mean, that one has the bigger a more red back. And this one
it's
has
a violently red beetle.
Yeah.
It's just like, air potato, stop. Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned your website when you were talking to...
Yes, FloridaSurvivalGardening.com.
FloridaSurvivalGardening.com, and that's where we can keep up with you.
Yeah,
and
I post on there every weekday, and there's a lot of stuff for Florida. There's almost 1,000 posts up there.
All right.
Been posting regularly for 3 years now.
And your new book again is called
Compost Everything: The Good Guide to Extreme Composting. And it's on Amazon. Look up Compost Everything, written by David the Good.
David the Good. Thank you, David. Always fun.
Yeah, thank
Always
you.
Fun.
I appreciate it.
All right, we'll be right back. This is WOCA Ocala.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.